Coming up, we have stories about revenge, best served with pasta. Revenge al dente. Being left behind. Family wants to know which baby is adopted. Final boss, mother-in-law, like truly. Stay-at-home parent versus full-time job. And ruining my brother's marriage by treating my wife appropriately. Interesting. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one is from True Off My Chest. Off my chest is words are hard right now, but this story is titled, No One But My Mother and I Know That Almost Every Meal I Make for Her Is Revenge. I have never told anyone this, not even my husband, but it happened again tonight, and I'm feeling a bit giddy because of how well it worked yet again. So I want to brag. I'm aware that I'm a piece of shit. Part of why I haven't told anyone. When I was little, my mother wanted to use corporal punishment on me. Not my siblings, never my siblings, but because I was such a bad kid, she wanted my dad to hit me. My dad flat out refused and told her that if she did, he wouldn't be able to stay with her because he didn't want anyone hitting his kids. My dad was abused pretty bad as a kid. Whole other story. Can't get into it too much or we'd be here all day. So instead, whenever my mom was mad at me, she would give me spicy food to eat, even though I hated it and it made me sick. Like full-on stomach cramps, diarrhea, the effing works. She would only do it when my dad was at work, which was most nights at dinner. And whenever I asked for something else to eat, she would break down and cry over how much time she spent on my food. And don't I love her? Guilting me into hurting myself. That's abuse. I'm not using that word lightly. That is abuse. Well, when I turned 16, I was meant to start taking over more of the chores in the house, including cooking dinner twice a week. My mother hates pasta. She hates it. It's a texture thing, and she claims it's always slimy. One brilliant night at 16, after my father began working morning shifts, I was mad at her for screaming at me earlier in the day, and I realized that I could do something about it. Since that night, one of the only meals I have cooked for my mother is pasta. I load it with sauce and sometimes make things like baked spaghetti because she hates the way the top of it looks. Whenever she's tried to turn it down, I put on the waterworks and shake and look at the table. You've always eaten it before. What did I do wrong? Are you mad at me, Mom? And because either my dad or my husband or other people whose opinions she cares about are there, she's never called me out. I'm 26 years old and I intend to do this for every meal we share, or until she cuts me off. I'm not going to be seen as the bad guy here for not keeping the family together. I honestly don't care if this makes me a bad guy. She sucked, and this is my pettiest form of revenge. Watching her try to keep a straight face while choking down chicken Alfredo is the highlight of my week this week. Well, I give you the slow clap and the Olive Garden Parmesan. You just say win. You just say win, Mama. Say win. Say win. Say win. It's fantastic. Candy Thunder. Win! A note, though. Petty confetti. Well, that's a slow, choppy animation. Sorry about that. Here, my only note about this OP that you may want to consider is that the things your mother made for you quite literally made you pee out your bottom. So, she doesn't like pasta, but does it make her run to the bathroom? You know what I mean? Does it make her ill like it made you ill? And if not, what does? I would want to be taking this revenge a step further. I don't care that she doesn't like it. That ain't enough. It ain't enough. She needs to feel like her soul is leaving her body through the porcelain throne. Know what I mean? To be her not liking it, like I understand that's petty revenge. However, I'm saying the threshold, if you are returning for up to and including the level of bullshit that you incurred or received, you've still got a little ways to go there. Just saying. Just saying. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one actually comes from legal advice. We are not giving legal advice. We're just giving feedback on a story. Title of this story is My Daughter, 15 Female, Went on Vacation with Friends and They Left Her There after a fight. My 15-year-old was asked to go on vacation with a friend of hers. The friend, Jane, doesn't have many friends, and my daughter has always made an effort to include her, so she is often invited by the family to go to events and has been invited on trips before. My daughter, call her Mary, does a lot of activities and has never been able to go before and didn't really want to go, but didn't want to hurt Jane's feelings. But this time the parents scheduled the trip around when my daughter would be available. Jane is an only child and extremely doted upon by her parents, and they have shielded her from consequences and disappointments in the past. For example, Jane was caught on camera stealing another kid's Nintendo DS from his locker. The parents swore that it was hers. Then, when shown the video, insisted she was stealing it back from someone who had stolen it from her. They put up such a fight that the school turned it over to the police, but the father is a state trooper and the incident just went away. They have also made big ordeals when Jane didn't make cheerleading and when she wasn't invited to a private party. This context is just to say I don't blame the kid in this situation. Apparently, the trip was fine for the first 3 days of the 5-day trip. They drove to a beach about 9 hours away, stayed in a timeshare, and everything was fine. On the 3rd day, a family that Jane knew from vacationing there before came, and the boy of the family showed an interest in my daughter. My daughter had no interest in him. He is 2 years younger and she prefers girls generally. She was nice, but firmly told him that she was not interested. Apparently, Jane was interested and was absolutely distraught that the boy liked Mary. When they returned to the condo, Jane screamed and threw a cup at Mary, and Mary locked the door to the room and FaceTimed me. We discussed options, but the nearest airport to them was over an hour away, and the parents were also angry at her for question marks. I called the parents to discuss the situation. They told me my daughter was throwing herself at the boy and trying to steal him from their daughter, although they hadn't been there at the time and only had Jane's word. I spoke to the mother for over an hour and she finally calmed down and we agreed to just have the girls sleep in separate rooms and take a break from each other, since they were coming home soon anyway. I checked in with my daughter the next day and she said things were tense, but she was just staying in her room and watching her phone all day, other than to make herself something to eat. They were supposed to leave the next morning at 5 a.m., and my daughter set her alarm and was up and ready to go. When she went out to find the family, they were gone. They must have left earlier or even the night before. She panicked, of course, and called me crying, and I attempted to reach the parents because I couldn't believe they would actually leave her there. That's insane. They didn't answer, and after 3 calls, it began going straight to voicemail. My daughter had them on Find My Trip and could see that they were already out of state. I arranged a plane ticket and Uber for her and she is home safe now, but she is incredibly upset and stressed about the situation. I'm so sick of these people facing no consequences and treating people this way. I can't imagine that it's legal to abandon a minor that you were supposed to be caring for, but I'm not sure where to start. Reiterating, we are not giving legal advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. We're offering personal advice to OP. OP was encouraged in the comments to contact CPS in Ohio and South Carolina. She's a minor. It's not a bad idea. And this was malicious. This was premeditated. All because of a freaking boy. Like how vicarious do you have to be living through your child to side with them to this level, to defend them and make excuses for them at every turn, including this? How? I got to go back and find Coral's comment now. Not a state trooper leaving a child unattended after leaving the state with said child. You would think that someone whose life revolves around enforcing consequences, this parent would have a better understanding of the consequences. You would think. But it seems like for their kid, for his baby girl, the world be damned. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what rules. It doesn't matter what's right or wrong. It matters that his daughter have full support in whatever she's trying to achieve. That's fine when she's 3, but now you are being manipulated, Daddy Trooper Warbucks. You are being manipulated here. Parents, you are being manipulated. A kid knows when you have their back no matter what. A kid knows when you're willing to make excuses for them no matter what. And they will use the hell out of that get out of jail free card over and over and over and over and over again until you finally take it away, if ever. But guess what? These kids grow up to be absolute dickbags. These kids grow up to be assholes that no one wants to be around. Nobody. All your protection and excuses and all of your vicarious living here through your daughter is only harming her. You are not helping her. With this blind protection and this blind allegiance, you are not helping her because the rest of the world isn't going to treat her that way. It is going to be a shock to the system when she has to go out to the real world, get a job, face consequences. She's going to be completely unprepared for it because of you. Parents and the friend. Terrible. This is evil, terrible. Evil, terrible. All because she couldn't handle that a boy she liked showed interest in someone else. This is like Bridgerton 2024. So OP's daughter has always tried to include this girl because she has no friends. And this is how she gets repaid. Oh, Candy Thunder says if someone did this to our daughter, if somebody did this to one of my kids, I would be unraveled. First of all, I don't care what time of day it is, what day it is, what is happening. I'm heading out there. I am going to collect my child. Because even if I can arrange for them to get back themselves, I know that this was a very disturbing, unsettling experience for them. And I don't want them to have to deal with further unsettling experiences like having to navigate through an airport to try to get back home when they're already freaking the F out. That's step number one here. Step number two, I'm getting a hold of those parents. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to have a lengthy conversation. And I'm calling every single agency I can to try to make sure that they face consequences. You pieces of shit can't handle your daughter getting her feelings hurt to the extent that you are willing to leave another child behind with no way to get back home. To what? Stand in solidarity with your child? Get real. Pull your heads out of your daughter's ass and look at the world. Open your eyes. This is not okay. And this is a toxic parenting environment. This is a toxic environment for your child because you are only raising her to be a shit human being because you are blazing that path. She's got great teachers right now to be a shit human being when she grows up. Her apprenticeship is going really well. There would be words. I don't know. Like my gut reaction is I'm going to talk to them face to face. This is going to be a face-to-face conversation because they need to understand. They need to see the look in my eyes and understand how bad they f***ed up. But I don't know that me having a conversation face-to-face with these folks would be a good idea. So it may be something that is done entirely through attorneys. But I would be bringing the full force of every potential agency, statute, ordinance, everything I could find would be thrown at them because this is bullshit. You do not treat people this way, especially the one person who is willing to include your daughter because she has no other friends. This is how you treat her. Nope. No. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from AITAH and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Refusing, all caps, to tell my family which of my baby girls I adopted? I, a single 20-year-old female, gave birth to a baby girl about 2 months ago and at the same time adopted a second baby girl who was born about 3 days before. The daughter that I had in my uterus, I will call Rose. The daughter that I didn't carry, I will call Lily. I got pregnant with Rose about the same time that my best friend, who I'll call Anna, got pregnant with Lily. While I was ecstatic about being pregnant, Anna was not. Anna felt that she wasn't in a good place emotionally, financially, or any other way to have a child. She told me she was considering getting an abortion, but that she wished her child could have a good life somewhere else instead of just being thrown away. But anytime she pictured putting her child up for adoption, she remembers all of the stories of abusive adoptive parents. She said that she felt helpless because there didn't seem to be any good answers. That's when we came up with a hesitant plan. We decided that if after Lily's birth, Anna still didn't feel like she could raise her, I would adopt Lily and raise the girls as twins. Anna didn't want Lily to know she was adopted, but I hated the idea of lying to a daughter of mine. We decided that once Lily was old enough to understand, I would explain that she was adopted. If at that point Anna felt ready, we would tell Lily that Anna was her bio mom. And if not, then I would say that her mother wasn't ready for her to know who she was. This way, Lily could live her life. Anna didn't need to be worried about Lily because she could check in on her at any time, and Anna would be able to continue working and getting her life in order. I chose not to have any of my family in the room during the birth because I wasn't comfortable with them seeing me like that, and Anna was fighting with her own family at the time. So Anna and I were the only ones in the room for each other during the births. After Lily was born, Anna still wanted me to adopt Lily, and also said that she did want to be in her life more than she originally thought. We decided that she would be the godmother of both girls, and I would be their mother. When it was time for us to go home, I organized a get-together for my family to meet both of my daughters, and we went forward with the adoption. As soon as my grandmother met the babies, she asked me which one was my daughter, and I replied that they both were. She rolled her eyes and said that I knew what she meant. I told her that no, I don't, because they are both my daughters. She got mad about that and asked me which one was my real daughter, and my parents backed her up, saying that I should tell them which daughter I had adopted. I got mad and asked them why it mattered. Both babies are my children. I'm breastfeeding both of them. I named both of them. And I was there through the entire pregnancy for both of them, even if I only carried one of them myself. This led to a fight with my family insisting that I tell them which daughter is which, and me insisting that my grandmother apologize for implying that one of them wasn't my real daughter. My parents told me that I'm being dramatic, pointlessly stubborn, ridiculous, and that they just wanted to know when dealing with the girls which one was their granddaughter. Ooh. I kicked them all out and said that unless they apologize and stop asking which daughter is adopted, they would not get to see either of them. After they left, I sent out a text saying that I will tell them which one is adopted when I explained to her that she is adopted, but adopted or not, they are both my children. I also reiterated that until I get an apology and they agree to view my daughters equally, they will not see the girls and I will not be talking to them. I received a massive amount of text ranging from them demanding that I let them see the kids and telling me how cruel I was and selfish to deprive my daughters of their love, to pleading with me to just tell them which girl is which and let them see my daughters. After a few weeks of this, I said enough. The stress of trying to take care of two babies, adopt Lily, and deal with my family was too much. So I sent out another text telling them that I was serious when I said I won't tell them which daughter is adopted. I then told them that I can't take their constant text anymore, and anyone that texts me something that doesn't start with an apology is getting blocked. Most of my family realized that I wouldn't back down and stopped texting. I did have to block my brother, who sent me 2 paragraphs about why I should just give our parents and grandparents what they want because it isn't worth the fight. I also had to block my mom, who texted me to tell me that no one was going to help me take care of the children until I told them the truth about which is my real daughter. Anna agrees with me that they shouldn't care which one is adopted and says that she wishes that my family didn't even know that one girl was adopted. Well, yesterday, both babies were crying. Lily needed a diaper change and Rose was hungry, and I realized that my mom was right. I can't be in both places at once, and I can't take care of them by myself. Luckily, Anna was there, and she was able to take care of them both and get them settled because I broke down sobbing and was completely useless. Now I'm starting to wonder if I'm a bad mother for not letting my daughters see their family, and if I have chosen the wrong hill to die on. P.S. Anna was able to cheer me up. We cuddled together and with the babies on the sofa eating ice cream and chocolate most of the night. She is also the one who convinced me to write this post because she is obsessed with Reddit. There's an update, but we're going to take a time out for a second and talk about this real quick. What concerns me most right now is that maybe, not probably, the family is like, all we have to do is wait. Because she's gonna need us. And eventually, she'll cave because she needs help with something. Family? You're a bunch of ass spelunkers. That's what you are. You're a bunch of assholes. The whole family is a collective. I'm giving an AskCon 1 right now. That could change. But right now, family's top tier assholes. Why else would they want to know so bad other than so they can give one preferential treatment. That's exactly what you're trying to prevent. You are trying to prevent them being treated differently, which is why you are standing on this hill and willing to die on it in the first place. The fact that you found yourself in a weakened state, wondering if you were the asshole because you need help. It is that second part that hurts here. Because you need help, you wondered if this was the hill to die on. Yes, it is. 100% is. If you give in on this, whichever girl is adopted is going to be treated poorly by your family. Mark my words. Otherwise, they wouldn't give a shit right now. And even if mom pretends to be okay with this, I'm telling you, one time, it may be a year from now, it may be 2 months from now, she is going to take those girls and she's going to have some kind of DNA test done. And she's going to find out which one shares enough markers with her to be her bio grandchild. Do not trust her. All right, here's the update. Thank you all so much for the support. I was shocked when I saw how many people had commented because I honestly expected to find maybe 3 or 4. I tried to read through the comments quickly and I went to answer a few things that I saw multiple people say. 1, everyone knows that Anna was pregnant and that one of them is her bio kid. Anna and I do look pretty similar on a basic level. Both have similar colors of brown hair, dark brown eyes, and both are white. I am a little darker than Anna. She is fair-skinned and I always look like I have a tan. We both also got pregnant by a white guy. To me, at least, it isn't obvious which girl is whose bio kid. 2, Anna had been dating Lily's bio dad for maybe a year and a half, but when he heard that Anna was pregnant, he told her that he didn't want anything to do with the child. I got pregnant because I went to a party and was an idiot. I have contacted Rose's father, but he told me to give him time to think, so I've been waiting for him to come around. Well, I'm telling you right now, I'll tell you this for free. If they, both daddies in this situation here, had to think about it at all, it's better that they aren't a part of her life. It's better. If they're not all in, they're all out. This is not the kind of thing you get to be 50% like, or you have to take time to, you're all in or you're all out. That's it. Otherwise, you're going to be a negative impact in that child's life. So get lost. 3, I have not legally adopted Lily yet. Anna and I have agreed that Lily is my child and Lily is staying at my house, but Anna is still currently her legal guardian. Right now, we're trying to figure out where Lily's father went. 4, I think I saw several people saying that I don't know how much work 2 babies will be. I definitely did not know what I was signing up for. Me and Anna thought we knew it would be hard, but this is not what I was expecting. Anna has been an absolute angel. She is probably the only reason I am still sane right now. After we realized our false expectations, Anna comes over almost daily, except for the 2 days before I had a mini breakdown, and has fallen asleep at my house a few times while caring for the kids. To be fair, I think every parent, when they have a kid, it doesn't matter if they've had 4 of them already, and this is number 5. I think every parent is like, I grossly underestimated how hard this would be. I think that's just kids in general. I can imagine 2 of them, though. With 2, I'd be like, what have we done? Another friend of ours who I'll call James has also been stopping by. He doesn't help with the girls because, in his own words, I don't know what to do with the baby. But James makes food and cleans up the house a bit. I am eternally grateful to both James and Anna because I would be lost without them. 5, a lot of you point out that telling Lily when she is old is a bad idea, and I agree with you. That was my idea. I didn't really think about how that could affect her finding out when she was older. I'm going to talk to Anna about this because I don't want to cause my daughter any issues down the line. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I imagine that's a very complicated situation to go through. But as a young kid, like, they're not going to understand. They're not going to register. I don't know. Bryson says, as an adopted kid, telling them early is best, and they can still choose if they want to be twins. Oh, okay. I don't know. I mean, every kid is different, though, right? Also, yeah, I mean, there is some contextual issue. There are some contextual issues here as well, because the family wants to know so bad, and I can't help but think as soon as they do, they're going to treat one of them poorly. Or maybe not treat one of them poorly, but definitely treat one of them with preference. Yeah. This is a Kobayashi Maru, I think. There's no right answer. There's no winning here. It is just a matter of losing with grace, I think. Sapphire says, my brother is biologically my cousin. My mom was his legal guardian, and mom passed when he was 11 weeks. He knew since he could talk, because my sister would say mom to our mom. Huh. Agreed, Angel. Family needs to be no contact regardless here. There's too much risk built up around that. Luckily, OP, you have... Oh, sorry, microphone. I won't do that again. It was an accident. I do love you. Luckily, OP, you have the beginnings of a village here. You have the beginnings of a support network that is not dependent on your family. I think regardless of like your friend James that came by and doesn't know what to do with babies at all, but helps in other ways, I think you're going to have a lot of people that are willing to step up and do that as long as you are receptive to it. And I wouldn't blanket statement say like the entire family is excommunicado here. There may be some family members that are like genuinely good people and are willing to get involved and help out here too. And I would welcome that with caution, because I do think grandma and mom may send spies. It could happen. Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you, and this one is from the Entitled Parents subreddit, and is titled, Entitled Mother-in-Law Ends My Engagement and Gets Me Banned from a Steakhouse All in One Night. Oh my gosh, so glad I found this sub. Here we go. I can finally air my uncensored frustration about the night my engagement was single-handedly corrupted by my entitled mother-in-law. Let's call her Ellen, because she always reminded me of Ellen DeGeneres, even before all this recent news broke. Okay, so my girlfriend and I were really engaged to be engaged. We'd both agreed we wanted to get married, but I hadn't done the formal proposal yet because we wanted to meet each other's family first. Neither lived nearby. I also thought the old trope about meeting the in-laws being a big fiasco was a myth, both because I was younger and more naive then and because I'm lucky to have easy parents. My girlfriend met them for a few hours. Once we were alone, just me and them, I told them my intentions, and my mom asked, "Does she have any kids already?" And my dad asked, "Does she have a good solid job?" And they both asked, "You really love her?" And that was that. I had their full support for the marriage. I thought meeting her parents would be the same. Some grilling was to be expected, but as long as I was honest and respectful, it would all be fine. Relevant fact, they had my girlfriend when they were teenagers by surprise, so now had a do-over daughter, their words, not mine, who was just 6 years old. They called the kid a do-over kid? What? Wow. Way to make someone feel like shit. My girlfriend and I made the trip up to their city, and I met them for the first time over dinner at a steakhouse. It was pretty upscale, and we'd scheduled the dinner for 8 p.m., so I was surprised to see they'd brought the kid along with them. I met everyone at once, and the initial awkwardness settled once we'd sat down. We were making great small talk when the 6-year-old said she was thirsty. No big deal, right? Well, all of a sudden, Ellen started screaming, "Water! Water! Water!" A waiter came rushing over to see what the commotion was, and without even making eye contact with the poor guy, Ellen went, "We've been here forever, and no one's even gotten us any water. My daughter's been asking." We had been sitting for about 15 or 20 minutes without service, but they were visibly behind, and there were no circumstances that would have warranted that shouting. I should have realized from how unfazed everyone else was at the table that I should be bracing myself for a long night, but I couldn't imagine what was to come at that point. The waiter rushed over with water and apologized for the delay, explaining a few very large parties had arrived all at once. The guy seemed sincere and quite affable, so I thought the water would just be an anomaly in the otherwise pleasant night. Then Ellen kicked into full gear. "We'll need a kids menu," she informed the waiter. He said that they didn't have a kids menu, but that the chef could simplify most dishes. "What do you mean you don't have a kids menu?" Ellen replied in total disbelief, as though he'd said that they didn't have a fire exit. He explained that they didn't get too many child visitors and that there were enough plain foods on the menu that no separate menu had ever been necessary. Ellen sighed dramatically and waved him away. Literally, without saying a word, waved him off from the table. I tried to give him an apologetic glance, but understandably, he didn't look back our way. I was so glad the poor guy left and didn't have to be subjected to her anymore. Meanwhile, she turned her attention on me, and I almost wished he'd come back. At least he was getting paid to be there. She was like, "So, you're a screenwriter?" And I explained, "Well, yes and no. I want to be, but it's hard to get a job in that field that you can support yourself on, so I'm working at a not-for-profit right now. There is a screenwriting component to the job, though, so I'm really happy there." Ellen turned to her 6-year-old and went, "Hear that, hon? You want to be sure to snag a man who works for profit. Learn from this. It's not too late for you." with the 6-year-old. Yeah. Yes, Lady Featherington. I couldn't tell if she was trying to be funny or not, so I just let it pass. Looking over to my girlfriend to see if she was even considering speaking up on my behalf. Nope. The waiter came back, visibly nervous. That hurt because he was so relaxed and personable at the start of the meal. He asked if we'd like to hear the specials before we ordered, and Ellen said, sure. Here's how that went. Waiter, first we have a lightly seared strip steak. Next! Oh, okay. Then we have a broiled leg of grass-fed. Next! Waiter, we have pasta primavera mixed with next! And on until he'd gone through all 7 or 10 specials, even though she ultimately ordered off the menu, a plain ribeye, well done. She tried to order her daughter the same, but the kid said she just wanted plain mashed potatoes, so Ellen let her get mashed potatoes alone for dinner. Then she sent the waiter away. The rest of us hadn't even ordered yet, and everyone else just sat there like it was entirely normal. No one else gets to eat! Holy shit. I'll take a well-done ribeye, she'll take mashed potatoes alone. Goodbye. She sounds lovely. I waited for someone to say something, thinking it was more her older daughter, my girlfriend's place, or her husband's, but when no one did, I couldn't help myself. Was the one steak and potatoes going to be for all of us, or... My girlfriend explained in the tone you'd use for a tourist violating a sacred local taboo. My mom always has the waiter put the kids' food in first, so it can get started right away. We'll order once the kitchen has hers. I thought she was joking, since Ellen didn't just order her kids' food, she also ordered her own dinner too, so I laughed. Something funny? Ellen asked. Then I realized she was serious and I shut up. Thankfully, her dad at least recognized that was normal for them, might not be as regular to me, and tried to lighten the mood with a change of topic. But not even 10 minutes after we'd ordered, I guess technically 5 minutes after we'd ordered, 10 minutes after she and her daughter had ordered, Ellen started in again. Another table that had been there long before we were got a side order of mashed potatoes with their meal. Ellen threw a total conniption. She was sputtering so inaudibly that none of us could figure out what was wrong at first. Finally, she managed to flag down some busboy who barely spoke English and began laying into him like he'd just sideswiped her on the freeway. He kept trying to explain he wasn't a server and he could go find one, but she wouldn't stop to breathe long enough for him to find someone who could actually help. All the while, I kept looking at my girlfriend for signs of embarrassment, or at the very least irritation, but you wouldn't have known if she was even hearing any of this. Our waiter came over, somehow still feigning a smile despite knowing what he was walking into, and Ellen actually goes, "Why did that table get mashed potatoes and ours haven't come yet?" The waiter kindly but concisely explained, "Well, ma'am, those people ordered potatoes before your party had placed their order." Ellen looks this man dead in the eye, finally, and says, "Well, it doesn't matter when they ordered it. My daughter is the youngest one here. Her food should come out first." I was a waiter for many, many, many years. Never heard that rule. You could tell the waiter was working hard to restrain himself at this point. He explained it was first come, first served policy, and age didn't help one way or the other. He offered to go check on the potatoes. Ellen agreed, or more specifically, she said, "Yeah, you better." But I was clocking him, and he went right back to his server station because we only had just ordered a few minutes ago. Good on him. 3 or 5 more minutes passed, during which we could have no other discussion at the table except how awful this restaurant was, how hungry the poor babe was, who hadn't said a word about being hungry this whole time and was constantly playing her loud iPad game without headphones, disturbing all the other diners around us, and how America has lost all respect for motherhood because it's just a me culture now. Wow. I chimed in. "I'm with you on that last part." He did it. He did it. And to my utter shock, instead of laughing at my joke, my girlfriend seemed annoyed with me. So after a few minutes, the waiter comes back and says the potatoes will be out very soon. Ellen then goes and does something that, again, I thought was just a myth. She took 3 singles and a 5 out of her wallet and put them on the table in full view of the waiter. Then she took 1 single away and said, "Every table I see getting potatoes before us is a bill gone." This shit happens. This shit like legitimately happens. I will tell you what they call it, but this shit happens. I was absolutely mortified. The waiter, to his unending credit, just took a deep breath and said, "I don't have control over the order in which the kitchen fires tickets. But what I can tell you is that it should be out any minute." and left without saying anything disparaging. I had been holding my tongue all night as well, in the name of my relationship, but once the tip hit the table, the $8 tip for a $100 bill, on top of all else, I figured if my girlfriend was half the woman I thought she was, then she wouldn't mind my speaking up at this point. If anything, she'd be supportive, right? So I scooted my chair back a bit and said, listen, I know what you're doing with the cash on the table, but that kind of thing makes me really uncomfortable and it's just not called for. Please put the money away, or we can just continue this some other time. My girlfriend's dad spits back, what? How cheap do you have to be to not believe in tipping service workers? Before I could process whether he was serious or yanking my chain, Ellen shocked me with, no, you know what, you're right, this isn't necessary. I should have known better than to be relieved. She folded the bills back into her wallet, patiently waited for the next plate of mashed potatoes to be carried out, and when it wasn't delivered to us, it was a very common side dish at this place, a steakhouse, she went right up to a stranger's table and picked it up off their table. She half explained something about her daughter starving to death as she was walking away with the stranger's food, but unsurprisingly, that wasn't convincing enough for them. The old lady she took it from followed her right over to our table and tried to take it back. Yes! I was already searching for my coat tag in preparation to go, but a shoving match was beginning to unfold between Ellen and an elderly woman with a tennis ball walker, and far be it from me to sit through all that had happened, only to leave just as the night was getting interesting. The elderly woman was like, give me back my potatoes. Who are you? And the poor little girl was like, Mommy, it's okay. Don't take someone else's potatoes. But it all fell on deaf ears. Ellen yelled at the old lady, how could you sit there and eat these while my daughter hasn't been served yet? She's sitting here hungry, just a little girl, and you're over there stuffing your face. Come on, other potatoes will be out any minute. And the old lady, gotta love her, was like, great. If they'll be out any minute, then what's the problem? To which Ellen still found holier-than-thou ground, gasping, language, please. Finally, the waiter, at this time someone higher up as well, I think the manager, thank God, came over to separate them, as they had begun to raise their voices and cause a disturbance. Staff had already asked Ellen to turn down her daughter's iPad multiple times without heed, and I'm guessing the waiter informed management about the tip on the table stunt she pulled, because this was their final straw. They told us we were going to have to leave the restaurant. But we don't even have our food yet, Ellen complained at the guy. This was clearly not the manager's first rodeo. You could take the food that's already been served free of charge. Everything else will be canceled. Please leave immediately. The old lady didn't miss her chance to knock the potatoes right onto the floor, so we couldn't try to take them with us. Nothing else had been served yet, so we had to leave without any food. When my girlfriend and I were finally alone in our car, she said, can you believe that? And I said, not at all. And I really can't believe you didn't warn me. And she went, how could I have known about any of that? And confused, I asked, is she not usually like that? Even more confused than me, my girlfriend asked, who? Your mom. What's my mom got to do with the terrible service at that place? Oh my God. No. I'd be like, can you see me? Can you hear me? Like, are all of your senses intact? Was your mom just like a ghost? Like, did you not witness any of that shit? That was the beginning of the end of our relationship. The fact that she didn't see anything wrong with her mom's behavior and the fact that I'd be marrying into that situation shook me too deep. We both dodged a bullet in more ways than one. In hindsight, we weren't right for each other, regardless of who her family was. Her mom saved us both a lot of time and heartache, helping me realize in one night what would have probably taken us years otherwise. Within a month, we'd moved into separate apartments and gone on a break that ended up lasting forever. I'm not sorry I won't see you again, Ellen. I am sorry any wait staff ever will, though. Wow. Oh, wow. So, what do we think this is the worst mother-in-law ever that we've ever seen? She didn't even, can you imagine if you had continued in this relationship, OP? Can you imagine Christmas? Any kind of holiday? Can you imagine what would have happened whenever you had a child? I would have brought mashed potatoes to every holiday function. It would have been so bad. This woman is this. Yeah. And this. And this. And this. Wow. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another Reddit story for you. This one is from the Aita subreddit and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for telling my wife she takes me for granted and to stop digging at me for not doing enough? For context, our son just turned 12 months and my wife returns to work tomorrow after a year off of work. We are very fortunate as I work for a blue chip and make six figures, but often that means working away or 50 to 60 hour weeks. So we have agreed that rather than her return full-time and put our son in nursery, she would only work 2 days per week and help raise our son 5 days per week. I got really effed off when my wife scoffs at me after she tries to assign me a job to do via disingenuous question. For example, this afternoon I asked if our son was due a nap and she replied, Yes, do you want to walk him around the block? I'm pretty tired after catering his birthday party yesterday, so I said, Do you want to take him? An argument ensued how I don't do enough to help with our son, with my main point being that she is our son's primary caregiver. And A, you have not worked for 12 months. B, you aren't returning to work full-time. C, we now pay her parents to clean our house, affordable due to my work. For context, I like to cook, so I cook all of our dinners. And I say, cleaning is taken care of by someone else. I've always helped with our son, whether it's changing nappies or feeding time, etc. Admittedly, she does much more than me, particularly whilst she was breastfeeding, but she quipped that my view on us parenting is like something from the dark ages. Am I the asshole here? Feels like a cake and eat it too situation. Comment here says, it feels like you think that when you parent, it's work, but when your wife parents, it isn't work. Why is that? He believes taking care of the baby. I feel like we need a lot more context about how they co-parent, cohabitate before this situation, because even at 12 months, you're like, as a parent, you're hanging by a thread, right? And you snap at each other. And with them, she's not returning to work full time, but she's still returning to work, right? Was that right? She should only work 2 days per week. Yeah. So it's a stressful time because there's a change happening here. There is a change. So there's additional stress there. There's a change for her. There's not a change for you, OP. And let's go back to the title, because the title says, Am I the astronaut for telling my wife she takes me for granted and to stop digging at me for not doing enough? Didn't really hear that happen here, but it says, for context, I like to cook, so I cook all of our dinners. Cleaning is taken care of by someone else. I've always helped with our son, whether it's changing nappies or feeding time. Admittedly, she does much more than me, particularly whilst she was breastfeeding, but she quipped that my view on us parenting is something from the dark ages. Bleh. Yeah, there are some problems with this. If one person feels like there's an imbalance there's probably an imbalance there, and you're probably not helping enough. Parenting is one of those things where this is my personal Dusty Thunder view. My view is that I don't care what you're doing for work. Whenever you get home, it's like you give your whoever's taking care of the kid needs a break as soon as you get home, right? Because when you arrive, it's like reinforcements arriving and they can breathe, probably pee, maybe shower, maybe eat something for the first time in the day. Like that job is harder than any other job that there is until they get to an age of independence. And I mean, entertain themselves independence, like 10 plus. Getting to that point, especially in the younger phases, 12 months, it's like it is extremely difficult to do that job. There is no walking away from it. There's no I'm going to go do this thing for myself here. So while you are at work doing things, you're doing things in an adult world that someone who is stuck in baby world would view as a vacation. Let me put it that way. They would view it as a vacation. So my view on this is that you need to quit bitching and start enjoying doing these things with your child. Because while you may be freaking tired, while you are at work, you weren't with your child, you should be wanting to spend the time with your kid to walk around the block and get them to take a nap. You should be wanting to do these things because yes, it's work, but it's also quality time. Like this is time you get to spend with your child alone. Embrace that, want it. And then the whole outlook on everything changes. It's no longer work. It's not easy, but it's not work. It is something that you can actually enjoy here. Now, that's my personal view. I know it's different for a lot of people, and I know some kids are just really, really difficult too. So, he didn't say he didn't like doing things with the kid, but he was tired here and said, whenever asked if he would do this thing, he asked if she wanted to do it. He said he was pretty tired after catering his birthday party yesterday. We're not even talking about what happened today. He's like, I did that thing yesterday, so I think I've banked up some credit here. That's pretty shitty. He's like, man, if I jump in now, I'm going to be over 40 and I'm going to be in overtime. Doesn't matter how tired mom is, she still has to do it. He's pretty tired because of something he did yesterday. That's the problem here. That's if you, OP, get to say, wife, you take me for granted and you just stop telling me I'm not doing enough, I think the reverse is also true here, where she can turn around to you and say, okay, you take me for granted, start doing more, or quit acting like I'm not doing enough. Quit acting like when I have to do something, it's not difficult, but when you have to do it, it is. You have to open yourself up to both sides of that, I guess. It's parenting is tough, and you guys are going to snap at each other, right? And this might not be a worldview thing. This may not be like a parenting view thing. It may not be like a marriage view thing. This may just be fried view and snapping at each other. I hope that's it. I hope that's the case. I hope this is not worldviews colliding and leading to some bigger issue here. I hope that they're just fried and snapping at each other, because that shit happens. Yeah, there is no overtime in parenting. It's round the clock. You're 24/7. Am I the astronaut for ruining my brother's marriage? So my wife and sister-in-law got pregnant around the same time, just weeks apart, with sister-in-law leading. Wifey pregnancy was hard on her, but she pulled through, and I did my best to support her, especially since it was our first child. After she gave birth, she had PPD, like most women have, but I tried to be prepared for this. I had made around 10 meals prepped of her favorite foods and desserts, so she could have them exactly when she wanted them. Plus, it'll allow me to help with our baby girl more. I let her have time to herself whenever she needed it, because if she isn't feeling well, then my baby girl isn't feeling well either. Got her push presents, which included jewelry, shoes, and a bag she wanted. I really wanted her to transition to motherhood to be as beautiful as she made it for me becoming a father to our girl. Now on to the problem. Like I said, my sister-in-law gave birth earlier than my wife. She went low contact for a couple of weeks, which I understand since I did the same. When I did see her, though, I was appalled. She had heavy eye bags, wore dirty clothes, and obviously hadn't had time for herself. My brother, on the other hand, looked clean and put together. I didn't say anything since it's not my relationship. Last Sunday, my mom hosted a get-together, and during it, me and sister-in-law were able to talk for a bit. She made a comment about how put together my wife seemed, and she said the labor must have been easy for her. I corrected her, saying it wasn't, and I just took care of her for the first couple of weeks. She asked what I did, and I repeated what I wrote above. She got quiet and looked a bit sad. She mumbled something before heading back inside. I didn't think much of it till yesterday. My brother called me, blowing my phone up, and called me an asshole for trying to appeal to his wife. He added how they had a fight, and she said she felt like she wasn't being cherished and loved like she was supposed to be, and needed time to think about the relationship. She went back to her parents' home with the baby. I told him I didn't mean for it to come off like that, and I was just being honest when we were talking. Didn't work. He called me more names before hanging up. My family is mad at me, especially my dad, saying that I was trying to make my brother look bad in front of his wife by flaunting my lifestyle. Am I the astronaut? What? It is an NTA. Dad, okay, OP's dad in this is really the thing that pisses me off. I understand the brother being pissed because he feels like this just made him look bad. That wasn't the point. And you were just being honest, OP. Yeah, sorry, you actually care the way we should all care for your wife and your child. Yeah, sorry about that. Which if someone else is seeing, especially because you guys had babies at the same time, your comparison is the thief of joy, right? And she can't help but compare because you guys are on polar opposites. How can you not see a disparity between polar opposites. Of course, she sees that there's something different with your wife. Of course, she comments on it because she feels like shit. And she's like, how does she not? And then you told her how. And she's like, well, my piece of shit over here hasn't done anything like that. And I'm not saying that the brother doesn't care for his wife, but he probably just didn't think proactively about what he could do to make her feel better the way that OP did. Maybe he's not wired that way. Maybe not. A lot of guys aren't. A lot of guys just don't think that way. It doesn't mean they don't care or don't love their wives. They just don't show love that way, which sucks for them, but maybe that's just the way they are. The dad jumping in here and saying that you, OP, were just trying to make your brother look bad by flaunting your lifestyle. Like, when did you enter this conversation, Dad? And whose story are you receiving here? Like, where obviously you've heard from my brother, who only told you his side here, because it's you're trying to make your brother look bad. Well, who else has said that? Oh, my brother, who's pissed because his wife. Oh my God. It's too transparent. I'm like, Dad, get the out of the conversation here. Your opinion is unearned here. It doesn't sway anything. And I'm sorry for loving my wife and child. Sorry, not sorry. I don't know. Not all couples are that way. Not all people are that way. Not all people show love that way. He may show love in a different way, but the fact that his wife, the brother's wife, felt just completely trucked, and he was able to just roll in looking like he just hopped out of the shower is rough. Now, it is like she's got to speak up and say, hey, I need help. If he's not thinking proactively that way, he may need a jump start to get to that point. Pain creates change, right? If he needs to give more attention there, her bringing it up should be enough pain to create change in that department. But instead of him being like, oh, what can I do differently? What can I do better? I'm sorry, I'm stupid. I didn't think of it in the first place. Tell me what kind of things we're talking about here, and I will gladly do them. No, his solution was to just point the finger at his brother and be like, you tried to make me look bad and appeal to my wife. By telling her how much I love mine? Okay. His brother's wife getting burnt out has nothing to do with the single conversation that they had at one event like yesterday. But someone who can't accept personal responsibility is going to find something to blame it on, and brother did that, which just goes in line with everything that's happened here. He can't accept personal responsibility, so find an excuse. Dad pissed because the OP also made Dad look bad as well, because wonder what Dad did when she gave birth to OP and brother. Oh. And Annie, I think sister-in-law, has 2 babies. One she birthed, one she married. Oh, I feel bad for her. And you, Sergeant Mac, you highlighted my thoughtless neglect. Brittany, exactly. Yeah, sister-in-law asked the questions. He just answered honestly. What was he supposed to do? Lie to make you look better, brother? No. Bravo, OP, for being proactive. Like, I look bad with how this OP approached things. Like, the amount of forethought here, the preparedness is just off the charts. And I'm like, wow, that's admirable. That's the difference here. I'm not pissed. I'm not jealous. I think it's admirable. It's something that we should all aspire to. Not that we are beholden to do it, but it's something we can aspire to. It is admirable. It is not something that pisses me off because it makes me look bad. That's the difference. Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.